The Buckeye Talk crew out here getting chilly outside of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. I'm Nathan Baird, Doug Lesmerises from cleveland.com. We just got done with our first press conferences of the offseason. Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, Perry Eliano, the whole Tim Walton, Justin Fry, the whole contingent of new coaches coming into Ohio State. But we want to focus a little bit on what we learned today about what Ohio State is going to be defensively under Jim Knowles. It's our first chance to talk to him. It was really our first chance to talk to Ryan Day extensively about Jim Knowles. And one of the things that was very apparent from our conversation with Ryan Day was he's talking about this defense differently than he was a year ago, 2 years ago. I thought that it was obvious that he has – the way he used to talk about this is my defense and I'm setting it up this way – he's turning it over to someone in a way that he hadn't before. And it's obviously apparent from talking to Jim Knowles that he understands that challenge, that there's a lot kind of on his shoulders right now, and that he, as he said it, they had 4 years to turn things around at Oklahoma State. He doesn't have that kind of a turnaround time available for him at Ohio State now.
I think it's pretty clear. I think when you look at last year for Ryan Day, with the defensive issues, with as involved as he is with the quarterbacks, as involved as he is being the offensive play caller, NIL, COVID, the portal, his plate was too full. And I think we're all curious, so how do you take a little bit off the plate? And I think clearly what the decision is he's not pulling back on the offensive side of the ball at all. He's just going to not give 1 second of thought to how are we playing defense? Now, he still wants to have relationships with the defensive players, but he is not going to think about what are we going to do? How are we going to defend these guys on third? As he said a million times, Jim Knowles is the head coach of the defense. And I maybe thought this before, but I think I could maybe argue that in my time here since 2005, this might be the most powerful assistant coach that I've seen at Ohio State, and not in just responsibility, money, influence. The idea that Ryan Day is talking about the other defensive hires they made. And he's like, well, Jim Knowles was in on those. The head coach of the defense is exactly how you should think of this guy. And I thought that message was loud and clear in talking to everybody today.
Yeah, and even Jim Knowles, when we were talking to him later, said, it's my job to take that off Ryan Day's plate. So that was obviously something that had come up, I think, in the interview process, was the things that Ryan Day said last year about, I'm having to spend too much time with this defense. He made it clear to Jim Knowles that that's not something he wants to be able to have to say in 2022 and beyond. What did you feel like you learned today about how Ohio State actually will play defense? The two big questions I feel like are out there are, what kind of athlete do they want at that Leo, Jack, whatever you want to call it, and how much will they use it? And it sounds like Jim Knowles expects them to use it. And then what is the safety makeup going to look like? And to answer that second question, because we were debating this on the pod a couple weeks ago, it really sounds like they want more of a slot corner, nickel back as one of those three safeties, and then two guys who are more involved in the run. And then what's going to happen on that edge, I think they're still figuring it out because they really don't know personnel yet.
So I was talking to Jim Knowles a little bit afterward, and we were talking about some guys fitting in. Could you slide corners to the nickel safety spot? The answer is yes. Could you pull either defensive ends or some linebackers maybe in for that Leo stand-up rush end spot? The answer is yes. What is this is now me theorizing. What is Court Williams? I think Court Williams is a linebacker here. I don't think there's a safety position that's going to fit him, because that slot safety is more like a corner. And the boundary safety is going to have run duty responsibilities, but that's more like Ronnie Hickman. And then the field safety is a free safety, bandit, run the defense, Josh Proctor, Bryson Shaw kind of guy. So it's where does Court Williams fit? I think Court Williams is going to wind up being a linebacker here, and they know they got a lot of linebacker options, but no obvious solutions at the moment, and I think you put Court Williams in there and see what happens.
We read between the lines a little bit on that when we were talking about on the pod a couple weeks ago, but we will talk more about it on the next Buckeye Talk. And get the text, 614-350-3315, for intel the rest of the offseason from Buckeye Talk.